Hello, dear learners. Welcome to teaching learning session of sociology. Today we'll discuss BSOE 146, Unit Block 4, Unit 11 and 12. In these units, we'll discuss new reproductive technology and kinship. Previous to this, we discussed about marriage, we discussed about kinship, we discussed about family. What is family? What is marriage? What is kinship? The rules of marriage, why family is called an institution, how you define kinship. We discussed all these aspects in our previous lectures. Today, we'll discuss the new reproductive technology and kinship. Marriage, the one of the main aim of marriage is procreation. Actually, there are three aims: procreation, to regulate the sexual act, and to follow the rules and regulations. So one of the main aim of marriage is procreation. But with the development of science and with the help of innovative technologies, there is change in reproductive system or reproductive technologies. The innovations in reproductive technology are changing the meaning of the concepts central to kinship, such as motherhood, personhood, and parenthood. Kinship, marriage, and family are closely related. We define kinship either on the basis of blood or on the basis of marriage. But with innovation in reproductive technology, there is a change in the central idea of kinship. As a consequences of reproductive technologies, the boundaries between the biological and social basis of kinship have become blurred. As I told you that we define kinship either on basis of blood or biological, or on social basis on the basis of marriage, a filial relationship. But with development of the technology, this demarcation, these boundaries have become blurred. Birth is no longer only a biological event, but is now social event as it creates relationship. Reproductive technology challenges previously held cultural construction of kinship and brings about a new kind of social relation in that kinship boundaries. And these kinship boundaries are redefined. Now, because of change in reproductive techniques or because of innovation in reproductive techniques, this has redefined the kinship boundaries. It has challenged the cultural construction of kinship. Now it is no more based on biology or on social relationship. The development of NRT, that is new reproductive technology, has given a way for formation of family and increased the possibility to reproduce beyond biology. If someone is not able to conceive, now with the help of NRT, they can reproduce. They can have family. And this has led to a change in the cultural understanding of family and kinship. That is, NRT helps us to reproduce beyond biology. How? We'll discuss this. Understanding NRT, new reproductive technologies in kinship studies. Reproductive technologies are a ray of hope for those unable to bear children by process of natural conception or choose means other than the biological conception to establish a family. This is how NRT has changed the previous definition or boundaries or cultural boundaries of kinship. Now, with the help of NRT, one can bear a children who are unable to conceive. Examples: married and fertile couples. Now they can have family, they can have children with the help of NRT, right? Or a single parent. Now they can have a family, they can have child beyond biological boundaries. With the help of NRT, they can have child. Technology is changing notion of parenthood, family, gender roles, and marriage within the kinship studies under the influence of reproductive technologies. Now, this NRT is changing the notion of family, the way we define family. It has changed the cultural boundaries of family, kinship, parenthood. It has changed the gender role and marriage. NRT have made it clear that descent and alliance are not only basis of forging kinship. There are two bases. Culturally, there are two bases of the kinship. The first is the descent, lineage, or second is alliance, marriage. That is, either you should be kins through blood or through marriage. Now, this NRT have made it clear that not only these two are not only the basis of the kinship, and their acceptance has been uniform in societies where they are practiced. This is because in different culture, the strict codes of inclusion of progeny as a legitimate member of society based on the manner of conception varies. While some society lay emphasis on procreation concerning only biological parents, other incorporate technological innovations more readily, thereby accepting the involvement of large number of people in process of conception and childhood. Again, this NRT, the acceptance of this NRT varies from society to society. There are a few societies which lay emphasis on the procreation only on the biological basis. But in some other societies, they incorporate the new innovative technology readily, and it increases the chances of conception and the childbirth for those to create a family for those who are unable to do that biologically. Again, this NRT acceptance of NRT varies from society to society. Other than the biological parents, medical practitioners and state become a system of reproduction. Now, because of the introduction of NRT, not only the parents, biological parents, but state and the medical practitioners become the part of system of reproduction. They plays a very important role in NRT. There is a law related to NRT. This law is incorporated in 2019, and without the help of medical practitioners, you cannot use this technology. So these medical practitioners, state, and the biological parents are the stakeholder of this system of reproduction. They play a very important role. Societal norms that restrict interaction between the certain group due to their perceived inequality in terms of class, ethnicity, race, caste, religion, etc., do not take kindly the medical procedures that overlook these very consideration in regards to patients and donors. This society that allows use NRT ensures strict checks and controls to avoid breakage of ethical and religious code. Those who opt for do NRTs, they even do take care of their ethical and religious code. They don't want to break their ethical and religious code. Although you can use NRT, people are ready to use NRT, but they do take care. They don't want to break the rules of ethnicity, religious rules. Reproductive technologies are not a new phenomenon. The world's first test tube baby, Loisa Brown, was born in UK in 1978. So this NRT is not a new technique. It was first used in 1978, and the first test tube baby is Loisa Brown, born in UK. But the development of these procedures as a specialized branch with, within biogenetics to correct or circumvent infertility is a recent. Reproductive technologies are results of development of biotechnology. It's a result of advancement of science. It marked a shift from nature to choose by opening up possibilities of parenthood to those otherwise hampered by biology. This NRT helps up those couples, or it opens up the possibility of parenthood for those who cannot be parent because of certain biological condition. They cannot conceive because of certain biological restriction, like because of infertility. Some cannot conceive. The same sex couple, when they want to have a family, they can use this NRT. Divorces, widow or widows, this NRT helps them to establish a family. The development of NRT paved a way for formation of family and increased the possibility to reproduce beyond biology. It has led to a cultural understanding of family and kinship. What is this NRT, new reproductive technology? NRT refers to technologies that intervene in biological act of procreation. It can facilitate or prevent or intervene in the process of reproduction, including birthing, contraception, abortion, and antenatal testing. So this NRT can facilitate to have a family through birthing, can prevent or intervene in the process of reproduction, like through NRT you can abort, right? You can do antenatal testing, contraception is there, right? So this NRT helps in establishing as well as in the other ways of the of procreation. It is also known as assisted reproduction because the medical people helps in reproduction. They assist in this type of reproduction. So it is known as assisted reproduction. NRT has been classified into three main categories: managerial technologies, which includes management of pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and birth. So the first category is managerial technologies. It takes care of the management of pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and the birth. Then second is contraceptive technology, which can be non-intervenist like diaphragm or condom, or involves use of hormone or devices and sterilizations. First is managerial technologies, second is contraceptive technologies, and third is conceptive technologies, including artificial insemination, surrogacy, fertile drugs, embryo donation, and in vitro fertilization. So it helps in many ways. First is it takes care or it manages the pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and the birth, or it helps or it prevents the birth. It helps in prevention of the birth. Or third is it helps those who cannot conceive biologically. Like one can establish a family through surrogacy, through artificial insemination, through embryo donation, or in vitro fertilization. The most prominent reference of understanding NRT is in vitro fertilization, that is IVF. It is quite common. NRT is not only medical device but also an institution that allows the creation of parenthood, thus giving way to a new form of procreation. So it is like an institution which helps in creation of parenthood. It's a giving a new form of procreation. NRT requires intervention of human, machine, and medical professionals to make reproductive choices available to individuals. They inherent The inherent requirement of third party in reproduction has impacted the understanding of kinship. It has changed, it has impacted the understanding of kinship. How it has impacted the understanding of kinship is it has redefined the meaning of motherhood and maternity. Like in surrogacy, who will be the mother? It has redefined the kinship system. Reproductive technologies have changed the way we think about motherhood. Earlier, motherhood was seen as culturally and legally established through genetic kinship, claims based on the nuclear family structure. Today, NRT have allowed for a new legitimation of motherhood and thereby widening the scope of motherhood to include a wide range of possibilities that no longer rest on the simple biological claims and traditional nuclear family model. Earlier, the motherhood was based on the basis of conception. Now, this NRT has changed this basis. They have opened a wide range of possibilities. It no longer rests on the simple biological claims. Now anyone can be mother with the help of an art, despite of biological constraints. This challenges the normative family model that destabilizes social understanding of motherhood because the mother may involve an egg donor or a surrogate or be two fathers or grandmother or involve participants that are intended parents. So it has changed the meaning of motherhood. Where earlier the motherhood means the mother could be who conceives, who bear the children. Now, with the help of surrogacy or through egg donation, one can be mother. So it has changed the normative family model, and it has destabilizes the societal understanding of motherhood somewhat. It is evident that the motherhood may no longer be defined solely by having birthing right over the child. Only through birth, if you have given a birth to a child, then only you could be a mother. Now, this definition has been changed through surrogacy, through other means, you can be a mother. This has changed the definition of motherhood. In this way, the NRT has impacted. It has impacted the kinship system. Sociological relevance of NRT. What is the sociological relevance of NRT? The option of NRT is especially useful in context of patriarchy, which defines women primarily in terms of her reproductive capacity, with emphasis on genetic and blood link with the child. In patriarchy system, we usually prefer that women should be able to bear a child. Reproduction is seen as a natural process over which men exert control through technological intervention. Even on this, when the reproductive system is natural, but even on this, the men exert control. They have been blamed for promoting patriarchy and equating motherhood with womanhood, thus enforcing linear progression from marriage to childbirth by playing on a stigma of childlessness. Culturally, a woman is considered to be a woman when she is able to bear a child. If she cannot bear a child, she bears a stigma of childlessness. And in this way, this patriarchy society controls the women as well as it exerts the control on the reproduction. NRT is regarded by feminist critics as a gender fragmentation of women's body into eggs and worms, which dehumanizes and objectifies women by promoting a view of their bodies as detachable parts that can be combined and recombined to create a motherhood. Although NRT has a positive impact, it helps to establish the family for those who cannot establish the family because of certain biological constraint. But the feminist criticizes this NRT. According to them, this NRT, this NRT has fragmented the women's bodies into eggs and worms. It dehumanizes, according to them, this NRT dehumanizes and objectifies the women by promoting a view of their bodies as a detachable part because you can bear a child of someone else for someone else. You can donate the eggs. So, according to them, it has objectifies the bodies and as if their body parts are detachable and can be combined and recombined to create a motherhood. Why motherhood is so important? Women desperate to become mothers are given a chance to become complete by using reproductive technology procedures. The positive impact is it gives the chances to be a child to those who cannot, otherwise, those who cannot. Enhance women's access and control over technology. The positive viewpoint is that reproductive technology is liberating for women by helping them overcome their relegation to the domestic sphere by handling them control over their reproductive abilities, whether to conceive, when to conceive, and how to conceive. Now women can have control on their bodies. They can, with the help of NRT, they can take the decisions when to conceive, how to conceive, whether to conceive or not. Those opting for because we have discussed the three aspects of NRT, and these three aspects deal with all these three things. Those opting for NRT have to fend off social stigma, as some individuals or social group may consider NRT to violate the certain conditions they feel are necessary for acceptance of a child as a member of their community. Some society have accepted NRT And even in the same society, few accept the NRT, but few consider that there is that this NRT violates these certain conditions, that those are necessary for acceptance of a child as a member of the family. They may find uncertainty of traceable relatedness and social credential of the donor parent involved, and lack of commonality of religion, race, ethnicity, which is unacceptable to carry out reproduction using technology that involves such person. Why they feel that it is difficult to accept the children? Because at times it is difficult to trace the relatedness and the social credentials of the donor parents. So it totally depends on society and even from individual to individual whether they accept NRT or not. But NRT has a positive and negative impacts on the society. This NRT allows for formation of families by choice. We discussed what is family by choice, right? So this allows the formation of families by choice. Reproductive technologies have allowed the formation of families by choice, that is same sex or a single parenthood, or now divorcee can have family, or widower can have family, can have child. So you can have a family by choice. The family by choice is an illustration of the fact that biology is not only the defining feature of kinship. People can be kin without sharing blood or marital relationship. Kinship is based on love, enduring solidarity, expected to be characteristics these familial relationship. Further, it also negates the idea of procreation based on heterosexual identities. So, with the help of NRT, those who cannot have a family because of certain constraint now can have a family. This family by choice redefine the structure of a family, that it is not necessary that you can have a family through marital relation or the blood relations. Kinship is based on love and solidarity rather than on the blood and marital relationship. Family is no longer seen as a unit of reproduction, rather, it can be non procreative unit. Such family ties are based on the ideology of choice and love and stand in opposition to biological model of kinship. The families of choice therefore emerge as an important basis of question biologically modern heterosexual domain of kinship, which has failed to provide support to and care to homosexual people, because our society is based on blood relationship, on heterosexual model. So this has failed to provide protection and importance to those who are homosexual. Now you can have family by choice with the help of NRT. Negative impacts of NRT on family and kinship. Due to debate about appropriateness of NRT, it is not guaranteed that they will be well received and accepted in the positive terms by all members of the society that adopts them. At times, people adopt the NRT and then they feel like no, they have taken a wrong decision. So again, this could be a that there is no guarantee that they will be received and accepted in a positive term by the society. NRT are sparking legislative debate about the ethical, social, and the legal consequences of its uses. Yes, at times, although it has a positive impact, but it has a negative impact, people can misuse this, and people misuses this technology. So there is debate about the ethical, social, and legal consequences. The unregulated proliferation of reproductive technologies brings in serious question that forces the rethinking of idealness of reproductive technologies. These technologies considered to promote capitalism by trending human body as commodities for sale, worthy economic capital and of energy. People misuses this technology because it promotes the capitalism. Those who have money can uh, can um, uh, can force someone to be a surrogate mother of their child, and this treats the human bodies as commodities for sale. It results in unethical but thriving fertility industry where human reproductive parts like eggs, sperm, uteri and embryos can be bought, sold or hired. This NRT has a negative impact. Because of this NRT, one can purchase or one can sold the sperms, eggs, uterus, and can be parent. It overrules healthy right and concern of gender by exploiting donor through low economic reward and health risks from unregulated frequencies of procedures. So it creates problems for the donors. It results in it results in medicalization of their reproductive bodies as both clients for the treatment of their own infertility as well as donor facilitating others to have babies. That is it is not good even for those donors and for the purchasers. NRTs have received a mixed response because of problem bordering on their lack of affordability, accessibility in different countries, and the low success rate. The success rate of this is very low, so it has received a mixed response. Everyone because it is expensive type of a treatment, so everyone cannot afford it, and everyone cannot have access to these technologies. NRT is changing the existing understanding of how motherhood and identity is conferred upon the mother and the child respectively at the cost of becoming a threat to religious belief regarding pollution, conception, and determination of maternity. So it impacts the child as well as the mother because of certain religious code, because of certain social codes, and it destabilizes the society. Older, unchanged norms which make no provision for new innovation and procedure must be upgraded at the earliest. The contest between the tradition and modernity is brought to the fore and currently unresolved in the case of reproduction in Israel. Right? Now, marriage and migration. Actually, people migrate from one place to another, and this migration because of marriage is higher in case of women rather than migration for livelihood. Women usually migrate from one place to another because of their marriage. Marriage is a social institution where a man establishes a socially sanctioned marital relationship with a woman so as to provide legitimacy to the children born out of such relations. Marriage provides the legitimacy to the child. So it's a social institution and it is a socially sanctioned institution which provides legitimacy to the children born out of such wedlock. Marriage is an important source of migration, and it is the women who generally migrates from their place. In a largely patrilineal and patrilocal society, women moves to their husband's home upon marriage. Factors causing marriage migration. The important factors of marriage migration is the role of a social group and a village community. The Indian society is characterized by the principle of endogamy and exogamy. We discussed the principles of endogamy and exogamy in our previous lecture. And the Indian society is characterized by endogamy and exogamy. In the Hindu society, the hypergamous tendency operates along with caste endogamy. This tendency is closely related with migration. Endogamy, exogamy, hypergamous tendency, all these are related with the migration because of marriage. The exogamous pattern of marriage taking place between their village pushes a large proportion of female population to move from one village to another, but within the boundaries of social group. Exogamous is when you move out from your place, you can marry some even when you can when you cannot marry within a specific group, right? You have to marry outside that group, that is exogamous, and girls move out from their place but within the social group, that is exogamy. The principle of village exogamy permits matrimonial selection from outside the village because of widespread Hindu custom of taking a bride from another village. Exogamous is you cannot marry within a group, you can marry outside that group, right? The principle of endogamy permits matrimonial selection from within the social group. This makes a woman remain within the social boundaries of her social and caste group, while exogamous is moving out. And endogamy, this matrimonial selection can be within the social group, and then women can remain within the social boundaries. The group of endogamy restrict social mobility of women across the boundary of social group, but the village exogamy permits them to cross the spatial boundary of the village. This is the social basis of their migration from village of origin to the village of destination, where because of the marriage, the girls move from their place, from their paternal place to their in-laws' place. According to marriage, bond of patrilocal residence of patriarchal family, the young bride has to move to a village of her destination in patrilocal, that the bride or the girl moves from her parental place to her in-laws' place. The volume of female migrants due to marriage is also quite high in urban areas. It is not only the case of the village where the brides move from her place to the in-laws' place. Even it is higher in the urban areas because of culture. Inter-regional variation of marriage migration, although there are certain variation in the migration on the basis of regions. Migration happen more due to regional disparity in development. People move out because of disparity in the development of a specific region. People move from backward and underdeveloped region to the developed and prosperous area in order to improve their living conditions. Conventionally arranged marriages in India, whether short or long distance, are heavily governed by local specific marriage rules. That is, marriage usually takes place between individuals belonging to the same region, religion, caste, and the class. Marriages are normally hypergamous and accompanied with Dowry. Hypergamous marriage means when a bride belongs to a lower caste and the and that groom is from the same caste or from the from the higher caste. That is hypergamous type of a marriage. When the family of a bride is at low level and the family of groom is at high level. In local marriage migration, the distance between the women's natal and marital home has traditionally been small. Although there are migration, but the distance is very small. With urbanization and changing criteria of spouse selection, the distance has been increasing among upward mobile families in different social groups. The prevalence and increasing popularity of cross-region marriage, especially in female deficient areas, raises several important questions regarding the acceptance of region, culture, language, and religion. Although people prefer to marry within the same region, religion, language, but now people started. Marrying in other region or culture or language or religion, especially where especially in those areas which are female deficient areas. In case of cross country marriage migration, rooms are ranked in terms of likelihood of achieving permanent settlement abroad. Even not in the region, people migrate from one country to another country or migrate globally, and it is based on the basis of on the basis of likelihood of rooms of achieving permanent settlement abroad. The brides are, however, ranked in terms of traditional requirement of wives of a breadwinner husbands, beautiful, domesticated, familiar with rituals and culinary, more of homes. Right? People prefer grooms on the basis of their likelihood of permanent settlement abroad, and those who are NRIs, they prefer girls who are more beautiful, domesticated, should follow the ritual, familiar with the rituals and culinary and many other things. Positive and negative aspects of marriage migration. There are both positive and negative aspects of marriage migrations. It involves the problem faced by the couples, but mainly the women and the children, when adjusting to a new environment and dealing with the legal issues, including citizenship, if it is a transnational migration. Although both male and female uh, faces some types of problems, but mainly the women faces the problems like they have to adjust in the new environment. There could be legal issues, including citizenship, including job facilities, if it is a transnational migration. Genuine marriage migration is concerned for both migrant community and the state in destination country. Cases of women being subjected to cruelty of false marriage, cheating, and dowry extortion have increased in proportion to growing number of Indians emigrating in search of grooms abroad. Because of this migration, the women are subjected to cruelty of false marriage. At times, they faces cheating. There could be demand of dowry, and there could be other legal issues like citizenship issues for women. Even within the country, not outside the country, but within the country, women are more vulnerable to physical and sexual abuse, lower wages, and other forms of exploitation. So this migration exploits the women in many ways, like physical or sexual abuse could be there. At times they have to leave their job if they are migrating to some other state or the city after their marriage. They might not get as good job as they were having. Lower wages could be the problem. A large scale import of women through marriage migration has already been reported from the areas of better sex ratio, resulting in differences in experience of bride. Even the brides or women are imported through marriage migration, where the sex ratio or where the women are more, and in the streets or the parts where which are parts which are women deficient, they import the women from other places, and the brides faces n types of problems because of this type of marriage migration. The issue of marriage, migration, and trafficking is connected to a large story of business in brides booming in northwest India. Skewed sex ratio are the result of several interrelated factors like female feticide, young women being lured away to jobs in India's booming cities. Now it has this issues of marriage, migration, and trafficking are connected. The women's are trafficked, migrated, and on the name of marriage or job. These women often become forced migrants, especially those who end up in the sex or entertainment industry in a forced labor or cross-border marriage migration. In all such cases, the agencies of bride is silenced, and poor and marginalized women are made a victim of selfish demand of bride takers in context of uneven social and economic development. They usually traffic the women from poor and marginalized families because they could be silenced easily. They those people from those areas who are deficient in women actually purchases the brides from a poor and marginalized families from underdeveloped or undeveloped states because of low economic conditions. The agencies of bride is silenced. Marriage migration is very often leads to trafficking, exploitation, and sex trade of girls from different part of South Asian countries. On the name of marriage, it often leads to trafficking and exploitation of girls. Often marriages are a bait to lure women from poor women into sex work in faraway places. They have a little or no recourse to parental support structure because they are illiterate, lack citizenship status too. At times, they they marry the girl who has a little parental or no parental support, who is illiterate, and they have a lack of citizenship status so that they can be silenced easily. They could be trafficked or migrated from one place to another. Relatives who manage to visit these type of brides are often not allowed to speak directly to them and are treated so badly that return their they return with a disheartened view of the fate of their daughters and sisters or the co-villagers. These unusual marriages are consequences of combination of factors. Why these unusual marriages occurs? There are various factors responsible for these type of marriages. Why someone will like to marry an poor illiterate girl? Why they traffic the girls, right? Because of the adverse sex ratio. As we all know, there is a disparity in the sex ratio in some state or in the some region of the country. The female, there is a difference in the female and the male sex ratio. It is because of the acute poverty. At times, because of poverty, people usually find it easy to get their girls married at early age or to someone who is available, and the desire of parents to escape dowry, it is another reason which are responsible for these unusual types of marriages. Poor parents are being driven to marry their daughters hundreds of miles away from their home, while men from the low sex ratio states are importing foreign women from eastern and the southern states as a marriage partner because of the low sex ratio. People because of the low sex ratio, grooms from a certain specific areas prefer to import the women from the eastern or the southern state, and because of poverty and because they cannot give the dowry, parents get married their daughters hundred of miles away from their home. Women too may be choosing this as a migration strategy to move from poorer to more desirable location. At times, even women feel like now they are getting married with a well-off state or a family, so they choose it as a migration strategies to move from poorer to a more desirable location. Among the positive effects of marriage migration, it has also emerged as acceptable means of disadvantaged women to achieve measure of social and economic mobility. Although there are many disadvantages of mobility marriage migration, but few advantages is that it gives a chances to women to achieve social and economic mobility when they move from underdeveloped or undeveloped to a developed city or a family. Migration has also encouraged the restricting of gender roles within the family, provide economic security, enhances autonomy of women and her respect in both in the eyes of her family and community, and offer women economic security and escape from subjugation and prosecution. Because of the migration, it helps the women to grow economically. It gives the security to women, and it encourages the restricting the rule of gender. It has been noted that the process of labor migration itself often results in marriage migration, as younger migrant workers find their spouses among their workmates. When the people move out in search of a job from their place, they might find their spouses there only, and this results in migration, marriage migration. Migrant daughters may enjoy more freedom in selecting their own partner and spending their own income and helping their natal families financially before and after marriage. So this is the positive way that the brides can help their family financially before and after marriage. They can choose their own partners and can spend their own incomes. Marriage migration and kinship network. Marriage migration is seen as a social institution determined merely by kinship and custom. Patriarchy within the marriage and in the larger society is realized in the greater power of husband, the undervaluation of women's work and career relative to men's, and an implicit norm of the male breadwinner and the women homemaker. In anthropology, the rules of post-marital residence are important features distinguishing one type of kinship system from another. So this because of this patriarchy system, women usually have to migrate from their place to her in-laws place. It impacts their career. It undervalues the women work, and it portrays the women as a homemaker and men as a breadwinner. A newly married couple may set up a new house together. This is known as neo-local residence, and this residence is important part of kinship. Neo-local residence when a newly married couple set up a new house together. A wife may move to live with her husband or with her parental kin. That is known as very local or very local residence. Very local, a wife may move to live with her husband or with his paternal kin, right? If he moves with her husband, then it is very local, and paternal kin, then it is very local. Or man may move to live with his wife, then this is zuri local. Among these, several type of rules of patrilocality entails the women's movement upon marriage. Patrilocality when the woman moves from her place to her in-laws place. In such societies, marriage rules might also specify the marriage outside of particular kin groups and certain principles of territorial exogamy, that is, ensuring a spouse from beyond circumscribed spatial boundaries. In society where patrilocality is the rule, women's marriage migration has usually constituted a large proportion of total migration and overwhelming bulk of female migration because female has to move from her place to her in-laws place. Notion of the blood relationship and descent principle and prospective rules of marriage have been privileged over common place of residence and connectedness. Marriage migration and rules of endogamy. These are rules of endogamy, that is marriage within the one's own caste group, although outside one's own gotra or clan. One should marry inside the caste but outside the gotra or clan. Hierarchy, bride's giver are inferior to bride taker, that is hypergamous. Hypergamy, the women must marry a both socially and economically higher groom. The rule of caste endogamy is shared all over India. However, within the caste, isogamous, spouse of equal status, and hypergamous, spouse of unequal marriages may occur. Hypergamous is that the women must marry a both socially and economically higher family. In many parts of the north, village exogamy is another rule, making it imperative for spouses to be from the different villages but from the same caste and the different clan or gotra. Dowry, since it has become a near universal in the country, can be considered as another rule. Despite of endogamy, hypergamy, exogamy, dowry is another thing. According to high caste customs, an honorable marriage is one accompanied by dowry and not by bride price. On the other hand, in South, Indian marriages are often took place among the close relative due to which brides were known to the family. The real and classificatory cross cousin marriage and uncle niece marriage were prevalent in South India. In the North, people prefer to marry strangers. The first rule of the first rule is the caste endogamy. It's rarely infringed except the contemporary non-arranged marriages. One can easily witness changes in the arena of marriage, as in the South. The shifts from matrilineal to patrilineal and movement away from marriage among the close relative in patrilineal families are important changes. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.